What is up, everybody? You're tuned in to the Blind Tiger Collective podcast. We are excited that you're here. I am Terry Bargy. I'm one of your hosts. I'm here with Charlie Sells and Christy Pruitt-Haynes, better known as CPH. We are always down one. So today it's Joe Beecroft's turn to be off. He is on, is it fraternity leave? Can we call it fraternity leave?
Paternity.
Oh, geez.
Yes.
That's how long it's been for Terry.
Yes. If we could rattle off whatever the Greek or Latin is for grandpa, we would give you that one.
Yes, exactly.
But, you know.
Yeah, Pappy's what we go by here. So
yeah, you be on Pappy leave.
Pappy leave. Guys, on the show today, as usual, we have the latest headlines. We have a little bit of history that we will dip into, and we always have a Christy encounter that you can count on. And some fun. Christy's also got some a fun little product that we would like to feature too. So we're gonna get right into the goodness. Who wants to start us off with what they're drinking? I feel like it's got to be ladies first because this is a good segue to that delicious bottle. I know Charlie's giving me the eye. Like, why'd you even ask?
Listen, we know where the default goes, man. Like, we all just wait on Christy to tell us what we're doing next.
Yeah, it sure does.
I am actually drinking. So first, I have to show the glass because y'all know normally I just drink out of a Glencairn. But if you can tell, this glass has a little B on it because I am drinking Nelson Greenbrier's latest honey cask. So we're recording this on the 1st of April. This officially comes out in the middle of April. But I got a preview bottle and they sent it with this really gorgeous glass and a super cute decanter. This is one of those releases, and I know we're going to talk about some other new releases coming out. This is one I look forward to every single year. So thrilled to try it. I have not had a chance to blind it against last year's yet, but just from what I remember, I think I'm liking this year's better. So that's what I'm sipping on right now. Quite tasty, quite tasty.
I love a honey finish. Like, out of all of the finishes, that's my favorite.
And they do it so well.
Special to bourbon.
I mean, and you have to remember, these are the same folks who used to contribute to the Belle Meade honey that, you know, is like elusive and you can't get now. So this is good. Quite pleased.
Absolutely.
Charlie, what are you sipping on?
Well, I was at a small gathering a couple of weeks ago, and a very generous friend of ours had a couple of bottles on there and said, "Hey, if anybody wants one, they can take one." And I think there were 5 of us still sitting around there, and 4 left with something cool. So, and this is consistently one of my more favorite single barrels. And so I've got an Old Forester single barrel from a local shop here. These are just so solid. I love a good Old Forester, but these tend to hit pretty consistently for me. And I ironically didn't have it at that gathering and have had it a couple of times since then, and I'm very, very impressed with it. So Old Forester keeps putting out banger stuff, including some of these single barrels that you can find. These remind me, and you've heard me say this many times, of the Knob Creek single barrels and the Bullet single barrels, where usually when I see one, I'm like, I know that's good. I don't even have to ask. I don't even have to try it.
This is one of those days where I wish we were in person because y'all got better stuff than I think I have here. I'm killing a bottle from KBF that I got, a little silk velvet here, signed by the master distiller.
Nice.
Which I'm not going to keep the bottle with a signature on it. It tastes the same to me, but I'm stoked for the signature. Good bottle. Our buddy Tim Beckner from Nashville Bourbon Enjoyment turned me onto this at KBF. We both went over and tried it, and we were like very, very surprised. 107 proof, 53% by volume. I don't know the mash bill. It doesn't really tell me, but I love it. It's really good.
It reminds me of those Clayton and Kroom decanters where you can make an infinity bottle if you wanted to or whatnot. It's got that same kind of short and round kind of look to it.
It's a cool bottle. It feels very old you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like that the
in that
glass is
sense.
impressed from the bottom too. That's really cool.
Yeah, that is neat. Yeah.
Some of the artwork of the bottles. I love that carried on. Speaking of history, that's one of my one of the favorite things about bourbon outside of the history and obviously the taste and the people is the bottle design. You always sometimes those bottles are just really, really cool, like that Frank August bottle that we love so much.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I love it. Charlie, you want to get us into a little bit of the headlines here? Let's talk about what's going on with releases and see what's cracking out there.
I mean, there's some stuff going on. I think one of the more indicative things, and I need to check a date on this first one, but there's just been some consistent themes. A lot of places who are over tariffing or refusing to buy, our neighbors in Canada being one of them. They're not just tariffing whiskey; they're just saying American whiskey and bourbon specifically, but they're not reordering a lot. And I think that's not just a global or a northern neighbor thing. I think that's just a global thing. Things are kind of slowing down. One of the things I thought was most interesting, just from, not even a month ago, is that there's a surge in ready-to-drink spirits. Or cocktails rather. There's a big surge in these pre-made, and I get Instagram ads all the time with take this old fashioned syrup and it's 38 cents per serving or something like that. And I'm a big fan of those. Like I don't mind making my own, but I think those are really neat to kind of have on hand where you can just throw your favorite spirit in, throw a little measure of this in, and then all of a sudden you're off to the races for the night. So, but this particular report said that, overall spirit sales are down, which we know. But ready to drink products are kind of surging, where I think there's going to be a smidge of a correction maybe in that route, which, if you've paid attention to this show at all, we've talked a little bit about maybe the rise of single barrels and blends coming. This also makes a lot of sense, where in order to get rid of some of your inventory or find a new way to get in the hands of consumers, this is another avenue to do that. So I'd be interested to see if companies aren't just white labeling their stuff, but they are really propping up their thing. The Jim Beam highball, in a can, or something like that, making our bartenders' jobs a little bit easier too.
Did you see the Pappy and Coke RTD that's coming out?
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of
I saw it so many times today. I was convinced it was an April Fool's joke.
Well, and I'm still wondering if it is or not, but it would not shock me. It wouldn't shock me if it's a real thing, because, why not? So we'll find out tomorrow if they're actually doing it. But to Charlie's point, ready to drink, like that is the way that so many of these companies are going down. And I think a lot of it is because they're trying to capture these Gen Z drinkers, and that's what they want. They want easy. They are the Buzzball and the White Claw and all of that generation. So they want things that literally you just open it and you drink it. And even cut water, which technically you're supposed to cut with water. Who knew that's where the name came from? None of them are doing that, or at least my Gen Zer isn't doing that. But I think it just goes to show where the market is going right now. So it'll be interesting to see how some of these, especially legacy brands, really, really respond to that, because they're recognizing there is a lane for what I'm going to call a single-use product, where you're not keeping it on your shelf. You're opening it, you're drinking it, and you're moving on.
Mm-hmm. And to your point, I think we are recording this on April Fool's Day, and so if you've been duped by the internet today, I don't feel sorry for you, because it happens every year. But if that is true, if that's something that Pappy and the folks at Buffalo Trace decided to pull over on folks, props to them, because the running joke in the whiskey community is there's always that one guy. There's always that one guy who's like, "You got any Coke I can mix this with?" Right? Doesn't matter what it is. Could be for all that's worth, right? So props to them for kind of leaning into some of the underground bourbon lore and, drawing a little bit of attention to, something we're not going to see for 9 months, arguably. But, way to stay kind of on top of it. Good for them for, not just sitting around and trying to do something, that says, excuse me, we're going to change from, Buffalo Trace to Bison Trace because, there was an uprising of bison and we felt like we needed to give them credence or whatever.
Yes.
So they'll probably do that next year because they listen to this episode, if I'm being honest.
Yes.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
I'll take full responsibility and credit for next year's campaign.
As you should. As you should.
Yeah, there are some really interesting releases coming out that I think are going to be, man, I think they're going to fly off the shelves. For one, we already know about the Angels Envy drop. They've got their cask strength Angels bourbon and rye. Both are coming out. There's a Blood Oath Pack 12 finished in Italian wine casks from Lux Row. It's a blend of 7, 9, and 12-year rye bourbons finished sequentially in 2 words I can't pronounce, casks. I'm as English and as Southern as they come, y'all. Montepulciano and Sangiovese.
Not bad.
Yes,
I'm right.
Sounds good to me.
I don't know. We're gonna go with that. So those are gonna release. Heaven Hill dropped a 22-year-old and a 20th anniversary wheated. And then the one that I'm really intrigued. Don't sleep on this one because I think, again, we talked about the innovation that's coming to some of these brands. This one will, I think, be interesting. And I'm one of those, like, I'll try anything once kind of people. Bulleit is going to have a mesquite smoked malt bourbon.
Oh, interesting.
They're going to lean real heavy into mesquite smoke. I would imagine that has a very high peppery, smoky content to it. If I were to guess,
I want to try that. So that reminds me, just hearing about it, reminds me of the MB Roland Darkfire, where they smoke like 40% of the corn before it goes in there. So it has this barbecue brisket flavor to it. Super interesting. It's one of those you're either gonna love it or you
had me at barbecue.
It. Oh, you think?
Yeah, you had me at barbecue.
Yes, I really like it. But I'm curious. I can't wait to try these side by side to see what they think. But to your point, it just goes to they're trying anything. They're gonna do everything they can to hold on to the market share. So it makes it fun for us.
Yeah, 2 more I'll mention, and one I'm gonna start some beef with for one reason. You'll figure out what it is here in a second. We're all really excited about the 21-year-old Four Roses that's coming out. That's gonna be really cool. And then I may call it right now. This may be the most sought after bottle this year. Cask Strength Elmer T. Lee for their 40th anniversary, and this is the second number 2 recipe bourbon ever released at high proof. So that one will be, you better believe it's already hit secondary. Like somebody's got it on secondary already, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, here's my beef. And I've been searching for something like this because I know it exists. I've seen it in person. Evan Williams launched university branded single barrels for March Madness. But I didn't see Tennessee on there. I'm a little mad about that. Now, I know for a fact that Maker's Mark did something like that years ago, where they not only released university-specific bourbons, so to speak. It was really just their stuff and, a different label. But they also dipped it in university-colored wax. So I know there is a University of Tennessee dipped in orange wax out there. I know somebody who has one, and I've offered him tens of dollars to buy it off of him, and he has refused. So if anybody out there has one of these, just collecting dust, and you're not going to drink it, and you want to help your boy out and get a nice little shelf piece, I would be more than happy to take it off your hand. You've heard my offer. Tens of dollars.
Tens of dollars.
Right into our DMs.
Yes, there you go. So that is it. My guess is, and shame on Evan Williams for not recognizing, maybe they just didn't realize Tennessee was going to go as far as they did. And also, I will say
Christy?
March Madness is still a 4-letter word in my house because
Christy, I didn't realize Tennessee was going to go the way that it did. I just didn't.
Neither did I, nor did my bracket. But my true bracket buster was Duke losing by 1 point when all they had to do was hold on to the freaking ball. But that's okay. I am through shedding my tears over that.
I will say this. We both made it to the Elite Eight, right?
Yes.
And my team got absolutely obliterated by the eventual national champion. It's going to be Michigan, I think. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with. I'd much rather lose by 32 points, which we did, than lose at the last second.
When you were leading game.
All game. Had a lead 19-point lead. It was ugly.
Oh my! Yeah. When I tell you, I literally screamed. I drank a lot of bourbon was consumed that night. That's all I'm going to say. A lot of bourbon was consumed that night. Yes.
Oh man!
But we digress. We digress.
It's okay. We'll get through this together, Christy. We will. Neither of our teams made it to the Final Four. We're going to be okay. Yeah. We have that in common.
We do. Alas.
Man. Sadness.
Yeah.
You can rein us back in anytime, Terry. This isn't a sports show. And
I like it. I'm in my feelings now. I think what's cool about all of that is the stuff that we've been talking about this for months, right? Like how, it's going to be interesting to see how marketing adapts, how, brands adapt to, the changing culture, as well as the retail market and the shifts there. So I like that. I like the ready-made cocktails. I'm a fan. I'm a low and slow fan for sure. It's one of my favorites. So
the Rock and Rye?
Rock and Rye, yeah. It's
I haven't had that in a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
good stuff.
I may have to break that out. I've got a bottle of that up there now.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's fun. It's and it's good ingredients too. Like you can go to a bar and get an old fashioned and simple syrups are simple syrups. I don't love it. I prefer honey, but they do a good job. So yeah, I here's to more. I can't wait to see what else is created in that world. So speaking of the shifting markets, the latest, we posted a article on the blindtigercollective.com here recently. If you're on the newsletter, you got it in your inbox. And before I go into that article and kind of talk a little bit about the market and what's going on in the industry, as it were, don't forget about your KBF tickets and the dinner with New Riff. There's still time to get those tickets, and I want to make sure y'all know that. More information is on the website. Go check that out, or you can slide into Christy's DMs. She'll tell you all about it too, as she is knowing before me.
Well, the big thing right now, though, folks need to sign up to be KBF. I was saying the big thing right now is people need to sign up to be a KBF insider so they can get their access to tickets a day early, because like VIP will sell out in a matter of 10 minutes or less. So the only way to get those is if you are a KBF insider. So you should go to Kentucky Bourbon Fest website, sign up, get that early access, and see all of us there. And there are other bourbon brands too.
Just a few, and get your tickets so that you can get your picture made with Christy as she's walking around, and maybe even get it autographed, because it's what happens.
We're stepping it up this year
together.
Yeah, we're getting fancy this year.
Here's a question for y'all, real quick, before we move on. Do you think the attendance for KBF will be different this year from both distillers and the general public?
Yes.
Yes, from distillers. I don't know about from the general public. It wouldn't shock me if the GA tickets last a little longer than they have in the past. But unfortunately, I think some of our really cool craft distiller friends may not be there this year. I mean, it's a huge expense, not just to be there, but you've got to think about what it costs to stay in Bardstown and everything, shipping all your product there, all that it goes into. And there are some craft distillers that are, I mean, there's some major names that are having a hard time this year. So some of these smaller folks potentially are going to be struggling. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see fewer of them. Or the flip side could be they're saving up everything they have and they're throwing everything, at this one weekend. But honestly, it wouldn't shock me if there are fewer craft folks there, unfortunately. And maybe even some of the displays
Yeah,
from the
the
major
difference.
brands may not be as big and gregarious as they have
Right.
been in the past.
Yeah, I think it's a two-sided coin. To your point, Christy, is that we're, I know we're selling right now, and Charlie's working with the Southern Whiskey Society and their food and whiskey experience coming in August, and you're hearing some of that pain, those pinch points from some of those distillers already. The difference with KBF is that they do a lot of sales. Like distillers can get a lot of sales done at KBF to the masses in a way that
Yes.
You really can't do it all of the the bourbon festivals or the whiskey festivals that are out there. So I think that is their competitive edge as far as the public goes, and that makes it, it makes it, as a small business or a small distiller, craft distiller, that does sweeten the pot a little bit. Chance to move more product in that sense. So I don't know that attendance is going to suffer. If I'm honest, I don't feel like. I feel like there are fans of the event, right? There are people that know that you're going to have, you're going to get the experience, right? Like the experience part's really important to a lot of folks. I know it's important to us. And we do love that. So I'm not sure if they're going to see a significant number of decline. I imagine you'll still sell out tickets really quickly.
Yeah, I imagine that attendee volume may just be slower. It's not that. I think a lot of these events are still going to have the same amount of foot traffic or pretty darn close. But I think to your point, Terry, we're seeing this tightening of the industry as a whole. And not only that, we're also seeing budgets get cut, personnel get cut,
right.
Turnover in specific jobs. I mean, to your point, like as we've been talking to some distillers, we get some bounce back emails where it's like, so-and-so is no longer here. Please reach out to this other person. Somebody who may have been there for several years and has had a great relationship with some of these events too. So, and maybe they went somewhere else and they're thriving, or maybe they just got out of the industry altogether. It's hard to really tell, but sure. Yeah, I think this year could set the tone for events in the future if they have a more difficult time selling sponsorships and distiller spots and everything else. And it depends on your region, depends on what type of events you have. If it's 100 distilleries and you just walk around and pick your favorite 20, or it's a small, more curated event. I think it's going to hit all of them in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Where internally they're just going to have to choose, like, what are we going to prioritize for ourselves? Do we want to go somewhere where we can maybe have some more personal interactions and potentially bring some of our heavier hitting master distiller, owner, master blender, somebody like that? Or to Christy's point, do we then, go all in on the one event when we know we can not only make our money back, but we can also get in front of, 3 to 4 times more people? So it's just a choice thing, in a slimmer year from a budget standpoint. You just got to make different choices. So I don't think the events themselves are going to suffer. I think they're just going to look different, and could be more beneficial to some of these smaller distilleries and up and coming brands to take advantage of a spot that's now open that they wouldn't have normally gotten.
That's true.
Yeah, I think there's a lot. Well, I was just gonna say there's a lot to be said about your craft distillery that maybe is in their third or fourth year that played it conservatively. I've started businesses in quote unquote recessions before, and that's typically sometimes it's a really good time to start because you catch the upswing, right? So we don't know where we're at in that, so. if people are running lean and they're being conservative, then bridging this gap shouldn't be too difficult. You can you could probably maximize where others are losing their shirt. So,
yep,
that's true. I think the other thing to think about
I cut you off. Yeah.
Oh no, it's all right. I think the other thing to think about is while KBF, they may, even if they have one or two fewer, nobody's concerned about whether or not they're going to continue. Like, it'll still be packed. There's still going to be lines, all the things. What will be interesting, though, are all of the festivals that happen around that time. So you have St. Louis Bourbon Festival. You have Bourbon on the Banks. You have a lot of things that are within a week or two of KBF. Those may be the ones that really see some dips because, again, thinking about at KBF, you can sell right there. At some of the other festivals, they have some sales mechanisms, but it's usually you buy here, you go pick it up from this liquor store at this certain time. It doesn't have that same convenience factor and that immediacy that people really love.
Yep.
So I think that's the other question, not just how it's going to affect KBF, which it may have some effect, but how will it affect all the things that are happening around the time? Because as a consumer, if I had to pick and choose between KBF or one of the other festivals, I'm going to Bardstown,
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
Yep. I wonder if we're also going to see more combination events like Bourbon and Beyond, where there's music and spirits. Maybe it's spread out over several days, or there's some other kind of food and whiskey experience that kind of garners people's attention, where they know it's not just about walk around and sip around. There's something else that's added to this. I would imagine that caters better to the local audiences if you're not in a place like Kentucky or Tennessee.
That's true.
Where you could highlight something like, if Texas did bourbon and barbecue, that makes a lot of sense.
Sure.
Make it a combination event. Have a smoking competition, or add some other Texas style elements.
Very true.
Maybe that's my new dream is I'm just going to have a barbecue and bourbon festival, and I'm going to make sure that as you walk in, the first thing you walk by is this massive open pit of coals where we're just slow roasting a cow or something. That sounds like a good time to me. And then everybody gets to obviously partake of every bit of whatever we smoke and cook. So who knows?
I like your dream. I love it. You can tell when we're done. Fully.
I certainly do too, and you can tell that this podcast is right around dinner time. So
yes, we are. Subtext there, just a little bit, right?
Subtext barbecue. Okay, go for some bourbon and barbecue. I fully support that. Maybe that's a Blind Tiger initiative that we pick up.
Blind Tiger bourbon and barbecue. Ooh.
That sounds like fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
And I can barbecue, so let's do it. Well, the reason we reference this in the industry is, if you guys don't know, if you're listening to this, this is your first time, or your entry point to the world of bourbon, the industry is taking a little bit of a hit. There are a lot of factors. One could call it the perfect storm. You do have tariffs. You do also have fuel costs at a record high, higher than they've been in 5 years. And then we are 5 years past COVID, and COVID did give everybody that big bourbon boom when there was nothing to do but spend money on booze and drink it.
True.
So it's a little bit of a perfect storm. So I wrote an article up about this. I've referenced it a few times in this podcast, and one of the interesting facts that I pulled for that article was that there are right now in Kentucky alone, 16 million barrels aging. And you think about that in moving it, paying taxes on it, all the things that go into that. And with consumption being down, with the age, we talk about the drinking and how it's changed in this generation, which it does. That much is normal. We saw it in the 80s as well. Going to the clear liquors. So there ebb and flow of things there. So what is also very interesting, and Christy, you alluded to this last time we were on the podcast, is sales have dipped, and although they have dipped, they're still higher than pre-COVID numbers.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, and
it's just
it's a
interesting
weird
to think about.
It is, and that's why I tell people, don't panic. Bourbon isn't going away. Like
Right.
if personally,
you can always make
I
more.
have to keep the industry afloat. Like I will do my part. It's not going away, but it is a signal, I think, to the distilleries that you cannot take your customer for granted because they do have other options. And I think the other thing that that unfortunately we might see is there are going to be brands that just can't weather the storm. And,
Right.
especially some of these smaller ones that don't have the cash sitting in the bank, like Heaven Hill isn't going anywhere. Buffalo Trace, while they may have a new partner, they're not going away. But some of these smaller ones that don't have the reserves may or may not weather the storm. And we were talking about it earlier. The number of, I feel like every day I see another alert of this distillery is filing bankruptcy. This distillery is now being sued for X million of dollars. And it isn't just the ones that everybody hears about in the news. There are a lot of them that are going through that right now. So it'll be interesting. And it is also the cautionary tale of just because things are really good, don't assume they're always going to be that way. Don't overproduce, don't overhire. And that's what I think some of these places did. And now they're dealing with the repercussions of it.
Yeah. That's the part that surprises me the most. Because if we learned anything from the 2008 housing crash, is that you can freak out, right? You can do too much. You can overcorrect, right? And when COVID happened and sales were through the roof, I think a lot of people got really excited, and there was a bit of a gold rush there. And brands were doubling down on production. They were like you said, they were hiring. They were buying more property. They were putting up more rick houses. Yep. Bardstown is a good example of that. Even though I think they did a lot of that pre-COVID, so they may have. To me, it seems that they got it in and got it done before. Before the bubble, and they were able to produce for a lot of these craft distilleries, so they're going to get hit, mind you, but probably still be fairly secure, moving through this. Now, knock on wood, I could be completely wrong on that, but with, you see legacy brands like Jim Beam pausing production and things like that. Like, that's not a bad play. There may be layoffs involved, but the hope is a year from now that they're able to rehire their folks back or bring their, to get back to full production. So,
but a lot of people don't realize that, these barrels that have just been sitting are being taxed. So they're not just hanging out waiting to be bottled at no cost, right? Like there's unfortunately a cost to this entire process. And, these brands that tried to start around the bourbon boom haven't just been like waiting around with $100 million in the bank, like being like, hey, we're going to make this massive marketing push. No, they're bleeding year over year as they wait for something to come of age and come to fruition. And so a lot of these brands that you're never going to hear of, they're getting bought up. They're going to get relabeled or, be under this other umbrella. And I was having to explain this to somebody the other day who was like, "Oh, is that really what happens?" I was like, "Oh yeah, you can't just like as a business, as a distillery, like put a barrel in there and go, and now we wait, and the gold will come to us, and all will be right in 4 to 10 years." It's just not how it works. And I know that's there's been some talk about that being phased out over multiple years, to help lighten some of the load on it, but doesn't help the guy who, bought 100 barrels and sat on it and now gets to do nothing with it and has to figure out how to offload it.
Right. Exactly. And even with Bardstown, Terry, you mentioned Bardstown, which, legal issues aside, because we know they have some major lawsuits going there that have nothing to do with production. But that aside, they also laid off almost half of Green River. Like the master distiller was laid off. And which, and oftentimes when you see these layoffs, you'll see them in the bottling area or in the barrel warehouse, that kind of thing. When it starts hitting your master distiller, that is, it raises eyebrows. It makes you pay attention. And, especially for Green River.
Because that was a big relaunch.
Oh,
that wasn't just a like We're going to try this for a minute. That was a massive endeavor and a worthy one, and I would say probably a profitable one for a minute. And yet, if it's hitting them, who else is it going to hit?
Exactly. And from a flavor profile, I love Green River stuff.
Big fan.
Green River makes some really good juice. So, but you also have to think about it. And I was saying this to someone recently, the thing, especially with Bardstown and Green River in particular, the thing you have to remember is Bardstown makes the majority of their money distilling for other people. So even though Green River is technically part of their company, if they have this huge arm with Lofted Spirits distilling for other people, why don't they just absorb Green River under that? So it's, I understand it, but I still hate it for the people involved. And I hope that it does not affect the quality of what they're bottling.
Yeah. I think, I don't have any firsthand information on this, but what that Green River acquisition by Bardstown's 2 years old?
It's maybe more than that, but they sat on it for a minute before they actually released it to make sure everything was, in line with their recipes and such.
That feels like it was an acquisition and, hey guys, keep it running how it was. Like we're going to fine tune some stuff. We're going to reduce some costs and, this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to keep it as as it was. So that does feel to me like an arm of Bardstown being, I guess cost cut, for all intents and purposes, lack of a better term.
Sure.
Based on the newness of it too. So, there's timing. Timing does play a role in here. Like if you were starting a craft distillery 3 or 4 years ago, you're feeling the pinch right now because you're about to release and there's nothing to release. Like, good luck, finding, getting it out there, when everybody is, when the market is what it is. So that is the trick.
Bardstown also, by the way, had the advantage of MGP shuttering their sourcing business and Bardstown kind of coming up around the same time and filling that gap. So, advantageous for them, timing being what it was and somebody having the right kind of vision around it. So I think they're poised to be a slightly more downturn proof than some of these other players.
Right. Not unaffected, but lesser.
No, not unaffected. Everybody's affected, right? Like nobody's immune to any of this.
No, it's impossible. Well, without further ado, I definitely want to get into CPH. So Christy's Encounters. I hope you're ready to share with us yet another story as we all gather around as sit crisscross applesauce on the floor and let's hear a story.
Everyone gather round. So I have a mini story and then I'll tell you the real one. So the mini one is I have to just there's always these things have arms and legs, but the mini one is
multi-phased.
Yes, there we go. I had the honor and privilege, as we know, March is Women's History Month, so I got to facilitate a conversation with some women in whiskey. So in this conversation, I had the master distillers from Leaper's Fork, from Gate 11, which is a really cool distillery down in Chattanooga. Had folks from marketing at Nelson Greenbrier, had, just a really robust panel. But then in the audience, we had Alex Castle, who is with... oh goodness, it just left me. Augusta. So just these phenomenal names and women in the industry, and had just a great time. So that, I felt like that whole day and weekend was one big encounter because there were some major players that all came together and we had a lot of fun, drank a lot of great whiskey, of course. And it was wonderful. But my official encounter story, and we've talked some about brands that are in trouble, and we all know Uncle Nearest is going through all the stuff they're going through. I will tell anyone I'm not a lawyer.
They're going federal. It's going to be nasty.
Yes, they are, and I am not surprised by that. And I will say, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an accountant, so I'm not going to speak on that, but I am a whiskey drinker. And they have a yet unreleased bottle that Victoria Edie Butler, so the mastered blender, brought to my house. So she sat here, she's like, Christy, I want you to try this. I want your opinion. And then we sat and drank and smoked cigars and, just talked about all things life. But this is going to be what I think will be probably one of their most divisive bottles because people are either going to love it or hate it. It is a Amburana finish. So think Penelope Rio. So that is one of those bottles that people either really, really like or they really, really hate. And this one is, this is really good if you like Amburana. So you get that brown sugar, you get the cinnamon, you get that smokiness. This is, and Amburana is one of those, if you leave it in the barrel 1 second too long, the whole thing's ruined. But I think they pull this at like just the right time. Exactly. It really is. You know what? I'm going to use that. This is the avocado of whiskey. Amburana is absolutely the avocado of the whiskey industry. Charlie, I am going to credit you when I say that.
That's fair.
Because that's what this is.
I'll take what I can get.
That's what this is. So I don't know when it's going to be. It's not even at the distillery yet. I don't know when it's going to be available. But Victoria wanted me to try it. And she is just, again, all the issues with Uncle Nearest aside, that is not her role and her part. She's the legacy of the brand. If you have ever met her, she is one of the kindest, most transparent, generous, just phenomenal people you will meet in your entire life. And we had a great time. So we got to hang out one evening. Actually, we hung out 2 nights before at a cigar bar, and there was a lot of drinking involved there too. But here at the house, it was so much more fun. And y'all watch out for this bottle. It's coming at some point in the future. I don't know when, but it was just really cool. And again, I think reminded me of one of the things I love about whiskey is that it is such a kind of inclusive space, because this is literally the woman whose name is on every bottle they have ever produced. And she's sitting here in my bourbon room having a drink and smoking a cigar and just talking about life, which I think is just kind of goes to what we all really love about this industry, is that sense of connection. So that was my Christy Encounters. It was a lot of fun. Absolutely loved it. So we shall see what I do next.
I don't have any master distillers coming to my house. Charlie, do you?
You know what? One drove by the other day, and I was like, "Hey, not tonight, buddy. I can't fit you into my schedule."
I get it.
It's just it's too much for a Tuesday. Okay.
Yeah, I understand. I do.
Too much for a Tuesday. I got the kids' dino nuggets in the oven. I got stuff to do.
Do we ever? We crush some dino nuggets in my house. You better believe that. As my 8-year-old says from the other room, I don't like dino nuggets. He's the picky one.
Oh yeah. They were. Is it the shape that he doesn't like?
Nah, I think it's the texture, if I'm being honest.
No, that's fair. That's a great, Christy. That's a great story. I know Uncle Nearest is going through it. I don't really know why they have to go through it so publicly. I do feel a little bit bad about that.
I know why,
because there are real people involved.
That's a choice. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell people all the time. There are a list of distilleries that are literally having the exact same issues, where they are unable to pay a loan, they are getting sued, they are potentially facing foreclosure or a sale or whatever. The difference is the other brands don't have anybody who loves to talk about it. And there is a time and place to just sit down and be quiet. And I think had that happened early on, it would not be front page news 9 months later. Because, I just saw a brand that they were building this phenomenal facility up in northern Kentucky. And I just saw that they're having to close it. It's being foreclosed. They're going to have to sell everything off. But the distiller, the president, the founder, nobody's commenting on it. So that story will be gone by tomorrow. So there's a moment where you just need to sit and be quiet. And that's why they're front page news. No one said to be quiet. Or it's not one. The person who really needed to chose not to sit and be quiet.
Right.
Yep. There's a lot of dollar signs behind that one too. I mean, had it not perfect storm, the history of Uncle, the way that they kind of rose very quickly, the bar, the experience, the number of zeros behind all those loans and stuff.
Yeah,
I think they were just the easiest target, if I'm being honest.
They were. And what I will say is, everything aside, what they built, my prayer is that this does not taint the reputation of all, because the truth is 10 years ago, none of us knew who Nathan Green was, Uncle Nearest. Like his name was not out there like that. So everything else aside, what Fawn and the whole team has built brought out a part of whiskey history that needed to be brought out. The story needed to be out there. So it's my hope that however all of this goes, that remains, because that's very worthy. And they did a great job. Like, it's a relatively short amount of time, again, less than 10 years, that they grew to the size they grew to. So there's still a lot of accolades to be given out, in addition to a lot of, hindsight being 2020.
Well, whoever needs to hear this, I think the Blind Tiger Collective could offer a very generous tens of dollars to take over that entity and make it something really special.
I'll go 20.
It sounds like a competitive offer to me.
Whoa, 20 of dollars.
Yeah, I did. I just dropped it. I can't
hide money. Come on now.
Yeah, I did. I'm making it rain over here. My daughter's about to graduate college. I'm through with tuition. I got like $5 extra. So
just pouring out the bourbon, like, I got that cash.
Exactly. Yeah. Pennies. This is pennies.
I think that if this is all kidding aside, outside of, I don't want to say this for Charlie or Christy or Joe for that matter, or speak for the Blind Tiger, but for me, that stuff sucks. And when you're passionate about something and you're running and gunning and the numbers are what the numbers are, you can be really passionate about your brand and your vision. And passion doesn't equal an MBA. It doesn't equal a business degree. And oftentimes, the feathers don't hit the fan until the wheels fall off of the industry entirely. And sure, you can blame the industry or you can blame bad business, but the reality of the matter is that there was a vision, there's a really cool history, there's a really good product. We shouldn't throw the people out with the mistakes that were made. So if you all are listening to this and you're watching these brands buckle and you're thinking, man, I'd have done it differently, be careful with that. That's the world of business is hard. And paying attention to all those things, and when someone's waving cash in your face, or you're up against the wall and you can take a loan, and sometimes those loans are predatory, sometimes those decisions are just bad. That doesn't mean the people are bad. So take that with a grain of salt. Don't jump in on the comments and jumping down and ridiculing people for mistakes that you could have easily made. So that's just my cautionary PSA there. So
I agree. And we also have to remember they hit their boom at the same time that the industry hit a boom. So it would have been hard for anyone to not feel like this is the moment. Let's go all in. Let's do all of these things. Because to have a brand that was growing that fast and then you pour on the kerosene of COVID, like it was, I get it. I understand fully. And Terry, you're completely right. We can all sit here and armchair quarterback, but the fact is none of us had the vision, the money, the balls, whatever you want to say, to start it. And I got to give them credit for that.
Yeah. Yep. I'm speaking from my own experience. Like, it's easy. Like, I run businesses for 20 years. And I attract a certain level of employee or partner because I'm the guy that takes the initiative. I'm the guy that doesn't look at risk and get afraid, and I make the decision and I am decisive. And I pay the cost for that when it's wrong. And the reality of the matter is that, 60% of the time you're wrong. It's like, it is a gamble. Business is not much different than going to Vegas. So you don't really know. You got a hunch, you got a gut feeling, and you got somebody saying, I'll finance that gut feeling. And you're thinking, okay, well, let's slide the chips in and let's do this thing upright. And it's easy to do that. Think about the loan. You're thinking about production. You're thinking about the customer experience. You're not watching the industry. You're not watching the economy.
That's right.
That stuff is difficult, and it is a very, very big. It's a very big undertaking to balance all those things. So,
it's true.
I just get bummed when I see that. I'm the same way when you see a Hollywood actor who crashes and burns. For instance, this whole Tiger Woods thing. Dude needs help.
Oh
guy
my
needs
goodness!
Help. You know what I mean?
Tiger.
Like, get the guy some
He's
help.
my hero.
I know to take an Uber. I Uber everywhere. Like, it's a simple thing. Take an Uber. Just all you got to do. Especially if
look, it's even easier than that.
Stay home.
It's even easier than that. Tesla makes full self-driving. The man's got paper. He can
do that.
Afford it.
Yeah. See, I don't have that option. I go the Uber route because but he does. He can have a driver. I was talking about Victoria earlier. When she came over here, she had a driver bring her. Not because she's just rolling in money, but she says she knows she can't afford to be or appear irresponsible. She doesn't want to be responsible for hurting anybody else. And anyone who's smart, who is high up with any whiskey brand, the last thing they ever need is a DUI. She is smart enough to know this. Why did no one sit Tiger down and say, dude, if you're drinking or if you're taking pain pills, whatever it was he was doing, just stay home or get your son to drive you or, whatever.
Something. Anything else. Yeah, anything else. Yeah, it's cases like that where, dude probably just needs a hug and to be like, hey, let's get you the right help. Let's get you the right help.
He needs one. He needs one friend, one good friend to be like,
bro.
Yes.
Bro.
Exactly, and that's the exact look. You turn your hair to the side, like, dude, what were you thinking? Like, we all have done that. We've all had that done to us. So,
that's
exactly right. Sure.
It happens.
That's what he needed.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's just
solving the problems of the world. If they would just listen.
That's right. That's exactly right, guys. Blind Tiger's here for you. If you got problems, we got answers. Let's not forget the humanity. All right, as we're getting winding down this podcast, I want to leave you guys with a little piece of history. I know last time I quizzed you. I'm not going to do that this time.
Thank you.
Because I made it a bit harder than it needed to be. But this is along the lines.
One of the most poorly worded questions I think I've ever gotten in my life.
Well, it's because I had to make it harder. A little bit of a deep cut. And this kind of bounces off of what we talked about last time with the rivers being a primary help to distilleries and delivering. But during the late 1800s, barrels of bourbon were shipped down the Mississippi River, which we know, and they go from Kentucky to New Orleans, and they would sell off the bourbon or the whiskey, as it were, right? So they would do that so that they didn't have to take all of it back up. So the heavy barrels, they didn't want to take them back upstream after the bourbon was gone, right? So let's sell off the barrels as well. This is what started a bit of the boom of other industries finishing their products in these charred oak whiskey barrels. So this is where Scotch whiskey aging started, and it actually now is obviously heavily relies on old bourbon barrels for aging. Was from this process of like, we don't want to take the barrels back up to Kentucky from New Orleans. Let's just sell them off here. So rum production in the Caribbean, like the Caribbean took a bunch of barrels and started aging rum in them. And even things like, this is what's wild, I think, is that things like hot sauce, like were aged in barrels to improve the flavor as well. So all the way to hot sauce, craft brew, things like that. Late 1800s, and I guess you could say maybe it was laziness. They didn't want to take the barrels back up to Kentucky and refill them. I don't know. I just think I find it fascinating. I could just efficiency. Yeah. I know that that trip was probably a little easier, going upstream with an empty barge, as it were. But I thought that was really interesting, that the experimental finishing things in ex-bourbon barrels got its start late 1800s and in New Orleans, of all places. So that's where it kind of spread, and it spread globally from there. So thought that was a fun factoid for you. Little deep cut. So guys, as we're running the show here towards the end, I want to make sure I get a chance to leave you guys with the last word. Talked about a lot of stuff. We've gone deep into the industry, and talked about people and what's going on in the industry, as well as some of the new releases. Is there anything that you want to leave with the people? And Christy, I'll start with you.
Sure. I will say, as you are out buying bottles, hunting for bottles, trying pours, whatever it may be, always, always, always look for flavor over flex. And I think that's where we can see a lot of these craft distilleries really shine. That's where we really can send a clear message to the industry. Just because you slap a cool label on something and it has this whole lore around it, doesn't mean we're automatically going to spend $200, $300, $400 for it if it isn't good. So for whether you're new in your bourbon journey or you've been doing this for 20 years, flavor over flex. That's my kind of, I need a t-shirt that says that or something. Flavor over flex.
I think that's Christy's personal brand right there.
There we go. That. Yes.
Charlie, what about you?
I can't say it any better than that. I was going to say something very similar, so we'll just defer to the master and let her word be the word.
I like that. I'll add to it, and I will say, if you're out there and you're worried about the bourbon industry, or maybe you're not, take all of this with a grain of salt. Have your own experience, and just remember that bourbon is to be shared. It is the oil of conversation. It's what brought us together for this podcast, and it's what brings this podcast to you, is that our passion for that and our passion for community and connectivity. And there are plenty of places to find that, but we've found it, with bourbon, and we've really enjoyed sharing that information, that insight with you. So when you're out there and you're reading the news and it feels dark, just pour you a glass of bourbon, prop your feet up, go to theblindtigercollective.com, read an article, watch a podcast, maybe have a laugh. So, we want to be here for you with that. So guys, we really appreciate you tuning in to this podcast. I know Joe couldn't be here, but I know he sends his love as he's with his young child now. So, girl dad is in full flex over there. And I know he's going to love that Amorano finished, Uncle Nearest too. So he's a big fan of that. So Joe, we love you. We miss you. Yes. On behalf of Joe Beecroft, Charlie Sells, CPH, I am Terry Bargy. This has been the Blind Tiger Collective podcast. We appreciate you tuning in. Please share it with your friends, like and subscribe. And we do love your reviews. So make sure you hit those too. And if you got a subject that you'd like us to discuss, slide into our DMs on Instagram, and we would love to share, do a little research, and maybe bring you something that you requested. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all at KBF. And until then, we'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers.